Do you want to know how to get a kid to stop chewing on their shirt? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're going to be talking about self-governing that shirt chewing habit. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about why people choose on their shirts. There are different reasons that some people might choose to do that. Then we're going to spend some time talking about how to help the person have some self-regulation and replace this habit with something that's going to be more productive. So why do people chew on fabric? I've actually had youth in my home who were very young who would chew on shirts and blankets and things like that. But also as a foster parent who took in teens who were neurodiverse and had trauma histories, I had 17-year-olds who were biting on pieces of fabric or on their clothing. So the behavior is not necessarily associated with a particular age. So why is it that people do this chewing? There's multiple reasons. Sometimes people are anxious or worried, and so they start chewing on something because of higher levels of anxiety. This can be associated with a neurodiversity or maybe with a situational experience that they're having at the time, such as going through a hard time in a marriage or in a relationship, or maybe their parents are struggling with something, they don't know how to handle it. Historically, people have bitten their nails, they've bitten fingers, they've sucked on things, all for soothing. Now, why does it soothe to bite on something or suck on something? Well, because it actually grounds the brain. It increases self-regulation. So when a person is feeling anxious or stressed and they start chewing something, chemicals are released in the brain that start to calm the body down. So it's the body's way of looking for calmness. When you take deep breaths or when you chew and swallow like you're eating, the body is cued to feel calm, because in order to eat, digest food, and process things properly, the body needs to be in a calm state. So when you're chewing, you're triggering, it's okay, I'm calm enough to be eating right now. So maybe the person doesn't have anything to eat. Maybe they don't even want to eat because they're not hungry, but they just want to chew on something. Or maybe they often do eat, but in cases where they can't eat, they want to bite on something. So these are reasons why people might be engaging in the chewing behavior. So there are a couple of other reasons why people might decide to chew on fabric or clothing, and those reasons include teething, or maybe having teeth that are breaking through. This happens at different phases of development. So when the children are really tiny, teething feels really good. But when they're getting their 2-year-old molars, they might start chewing things again. As they're starting to work up toward the 6-year-old molars and getting into age like 12, even sometimes if people are having wisdom teeth come in early, they might start chewing on something back there just because it feels nice. And again, it makes it so that their brain isn't distracted, and they oftentimes feel like they can think more clearly. So another reason might just be because a person is bored. We all have our little things that we do because we're bored. Some people start picking on their fingers. Some people start doodling on a piece of paper. Some people start getting distracted and thinking about other things that maybe are making it so they're not focusing on the project that they should be. And some people decide to chew stuff. Now, sometimes a person will actually chew to focus. Some people will chew because they're not wanting to focus on whatever it is. So chewing is one of those behaviors that if you have a distracted tendency, maybe you have ADHD or something like that, you could have a desire to chew. No, there's many people that will chew other things besides fingernails or shirts because those things are a little bit gross. They might chew something that they can put down easily, like a pen, or maybe some sort of little like chewy toy object or something like that. Sometimes we don't notice that a person is a chewer until they start chewing on something that follows them around, like their fingernails or their shirt. So let's talk about what to do about this chewing behavior. No matter why it's happening, we have to handle it because it's not a socially appropriate behavior. In fact, it somewhat grosses people out, or at the very least distracts other people. Now, when the child is a toddler, maybe most people wouldn't pay it much attention, but as they get a little bit older, it seems non-hygienic or maybe even distracting on other levels when people are trying to talk to somebody. So we have to help them handle it. It is a parent's job and an adult's job to help train a child socially, to help them not be a distraction to their peers and other people around them so that they can succeed in life. People who are incredibly distracting have a hard time succeeding in their social lives, and it is the social that hooks all of the business and family relationships and friendships together. So we want our children to be successful. What do we do? If you've already subscribed to this channel, then you know that I talk a lot about the skills and principles of self-government on this channel, and we're going to be doing that now. So what self-government skills and principles should we be focusing on when we're talking about controlling the impulse to chew on something? So there are 4 basic skills of self-government that are like the foundational skills that a person should learn first when they're learning their self-government skills. These give the person a point of reference to come back to when they're learning other self-regulation skills, just like the basics of calmness. But these 4 basic skills are all taught in the 4 children's books that I have written. So I'm known a lot for the parenting books that I've written that help parents teach their children self-government skills, but these 4 children's books are for children ages 12 and under, and they help teach the 4 basic skills of self-government, which are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. So what one of these skills should you focus on most for learning to control the impulse to chew? I would focus on first accepting no answers, then following instructions. The first skill that you want to focus on is accepting no answers or criticism. We're going to focus on the no answer side of that skill. That skill has 4 steps to it. You look at the person or the situation. In this case, the situation is chewing on something, or I'm feeling an impulse that I want to chew on something, or I have a habit and I'm catching myself chewing on something. Now I keep a calm face, voice, and body. Chewing is not actually a calm body, okay? So even though the person might be chewing, in order to get a chemical release in the brain that stimulates calmness, when we're talking socially, a person going like this all the time does not look very calm. In fact, we usually think of chewing our nails or something like that is a sign of nervousness. So when we are chewing on something, we have to let our child know that that is not a calm body, okay? So look at the person or the situation, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, and then drop the subject. And that last step, drop the subject, is going to be key in conquering this impulse to choose. So a person who is self-governed can tell themselves, I'm not thinking about that anymore. I'm letting that go. I am dropping the subject. It is a very powerful, very deliberate thing to do. Most people don't ever even think of doing it. They just become the victim of their own habits, emotions, cravings, and impulses all the time. And they don't ever really learn self-government, which means they lash out at people. They do behaviors that gross other people out when they could be fixing them if they just decided to do first accept a no answer, which includes dropping the subject, so not thinking about it anymore. After you say, I'm not thinking about that anymore, now we have to replace it with another thought, which is, what am I going to think about? What instruction am I going to give myself next? So following an instruction, that is that other self-government skill that I said would be very beneficial in this circumstance. There are 5 steps to following an instruction, and this is when you self-direct yourself to be able to do something new. So you have to replace habits in order to conquer them. If not, they just keep coming back again and again. So what would you replace a chewing habit with? You would replace a chewing habit with something maybe that you would touch, or maybe a new thought in your head, like sing a song or hum a tune or something like that. Those could also be things that actually could lead toward calmness. There could be a cue phrase that I say to myself all the time instead of chewing, like take a deep breath, because big, deep breathing also releases a chemical for calmness, but doesn't lead to a person chewing in front of other people all the time. And possibly even hurting their teeth. I used to be a dental assistant. People who chew on hard objects break their teeth. Even people who chew on shirts and clothing end up putting a lot of torque on the cusps of their teeth a lot of the time, and it will end up breaking off their teeth or cracking their teeth over time, sometimes breaking fillings out of their mouths. So it is actually a damaging thing to do to induce calmness. Deep breathing would be much more appropriate and safe for your dental hygiene. We're just scratching the self-government surface here as we talk about how to control the impulse to chew on your shirt or clothing, but there are so many more things that a parent is going to need. For instance, if the child does not use those skills of following instructions and accepting no answers, or the other 4 basic skills, then how are you going to handle it? Well, you as a parent need self-government skills of your own so that you don't get out of control, angry, and have to power struggle with your child. Well, I have help for you. The next video, called How to Discipline Children, is going to give you more information about how to correct your children when things go wrong.